Hello. Hello, hello. We have a bit of ham radio activity going on today. I got them all fired up.
They're the ones that I think they're in collusion with the governor's office myself.
Oops.
But they're not.
Hello, one saucy mama. Good to see you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Glam Shack. Hello, Kilo 3, Tel 73 to you. I got all the radios fired up today. Check it out. We got the big stack. We got the big stack. Turn that down. Thank you, Ice Team. I appreciate that. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Ronnie. Good to see you. So I got my ICOM Tower of Power set up today. So you can see how clear that is. Of course, they stop talking the second I say. I so want to go to Quartz Fest, Random Acts of Frank. I went in 2022 and it was literally one of the best things that I have ever done. It was amazing. So this is my HF ham radio. And to give you an idea on antennas, right now I have an antenna called the HOA Buster, and it's got a wire on it, and the wire is strung along my neighbor's fence, and they have no idea. Oh, Frank's going to go to Quartz Fest. That's awesome. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ham Shack. If you're an eavesdropper kind of person, you're going to love ham radio because you can just listen to people around the world talking. It's awesome. Bashai will probably be extremely scary on Halloween. I haven't thought about it, but yeah, I probably will be. Hello, Skippy Ozor. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So, one of the reasons I like these radios is their touchscreen. So if you don't want to use the VFO, which is basically, it's the fancy name for the knob, the variable frequency oscillator, but this is where you turn into the frequencies, is you can literally just touch on the screen with these. So I really like these radios a lot.
I don't know, I can't say pedophile.
So you see how clear that is.
Well, there was that thing with the daughter's diary, wasn't there? Yeah.
So HOA Antenna, yeah, that is for long distance. In fact, I've got something that looks similar because I have 3 antennas from Alpha Antenna, but it's similar to this. This is like the brains of that antenna, and it sticks in the ground, and they will paint it to match your house, so it's very stealth. And you can either clip it to your drain pipe, or you can put a wire on it, like a 60-foot wire. And there's your antenna. So, but it's for long distance. I think it does actually, I discovered that it does UHF. Oh, look at the galaxy, so appropriate with everything's going on. Thank you, Brian Green. That was very spectacular. So Lucas, I would say myself, that is not true. That would be one of those scare stories, maybe in a million years. But that sounds like something that's being put around for views, basically. So this little radio you can travel with. And what I like is where you see the screen, you can see where people are talking. So you pay a lot more for radios that have screens on them. These they call either a scope or a waterfall or a spectrum analyzer. I personally find most hams tend to call it the scope, but I've had some like marine people say that's horrible and it's horribly incorrect, because I suppose if you work on a submarine, a scope is that like that thing. But it can be called a waterfall because the transmissions come down, or it can be called a spectrum analyzer because you can see frequencies bouncing up and down. But I kind of call it the scope. So I just posted, George, about the crash. If I didn't get a strike already, let me get my phone. Hold on, I'll be right back. Whoops. So I am getting strikes. I'm getting strikes left, right, and center. So I'm just going to see did I get a strike on that video. It's unbelievable. I put a video up yesterday with that crash, with a different thing. Hello, Steve. I just added you in the video. I put a video up last night with music I had produced and it got a strike. Okay, this is good. It didn't get a strike so far. So I literally got a strike on the music and I produced the music. I made the music. So it's like, So I've now started an account on X and I think they're less censored on X. And everybody said to me, start an X, a Rumble, and I'm on YouTube. So there you go. So, well, Bash, that's a good question. Basically, radio's radio. So you would use, underwater, they use very, very low frequencies. So it would probably fall more under a military license than a ham radio license. Ronnie or somebody who's a seasoned ham might know. That's a really good question. But submarines, they literally can trail a wire a mile long. Military submarines can. Imagine that. Like, just that's the space that you're dragging an antenna, a wire that is a mile long. So I think Milton has gone, hasn't it? Isn't Milton? Yeah, Milton is no more. Milton is gone. So hello, Texas Stream. Haven't seen you in a bit. We've got the ICOM Tower of Power set up today. Maybe make a few contacts. Maybe I can even try a bit of CQ today, which could be a bit of fun. So you can see it's very clear, these. Hello, 80s kid in the UK. So I think I might try and make a contact. So let me just clear my board. A good thing, if you're going to be making any radio contacts, is to have a pen and paper. No worries, Texas Stream. We missed you every week and we kept your memory alive. So it's good to see you back. So, is there a website video you'd recommend? Victor, I would recommend, if you've bought either the H3 or the H8, one of these, definitely watch my Hurricane Comms playlist. Hello, Lucy in England. So, the Hurricane Comms, I apologize, I sound like I've been crying, because I had been crying because I was so upset, like everyone was, over Hurricane Helene. I was really in shock. I still am in shock about what those people have gone through and are going through. But my first thing I wanted to do was make a video of how they could use their radios. It was the only way I could think that I could help. So check those out. Yeah, they're great radios. Hello, Brazil. So right now, let me just get this and what I'm going to do. So remember, I'm on basically my HOA buster and I'm going to find an empty part. So let's try 7.226. And I'm just going to tune to check I'm most tuned in on the drain pipe, which today I have it clipped to the fence basically. So 90 miles is quite a bit. That might be pushing it. Now there are such things, Saucy Mama, as repeaters. To give you an idea, 60 miles is considered astounding and excellent for those little radios. So 90 miles is really pushing it, and you would for sure have to be up high. Like you would have to be up high on a mountain. So I went hiking to get 60 miles radio to radio. Now, when there's not an emergency or if there's repeaters with a power backup, yes, 90 miles would be more feasible. But you have to use a repeater for that, which is basically another repeating radio device that's on a high building or on a radio tower somewhere on a mountain. So yes, I just actually posted. So I posted right before going live about the crash with some info. Hello, Jason. Hello, hello, hello. So let's have a look. The 10 is going to get you further. So here they all are. So there's the 3 and there's the 10. if you're trying to, get your family set up, then definitely don't buy just one. You want to think like have your loved ones get radios too, as it's useless if they don't have the radio to receive you. Yeah, that's John Hess. I bet he would talk all over. I should think he'd reach the moon on 100,000 watts. That's awesome. So this one is 10 watts and this one's 5 watts. However, don't be fooled. So this is 5 watts. And I'm now going to try and just see how I do making a contact on my very inexpensive antenna, my HOA Buster, which is all linked in my bio. And there's lots of discounts in the bio. So that company now gives you 8% off with the code GLAM. And they've told me that no other influencer does that. So Mountain Pines, there's a great school linked in my bio, and it's called Ham Radio Prep, and they give 20% off with code GLAM. I studied with them, and they're absolutely excellent. That is the simplest way to pass your US license, in my opinion, is Ham Radio Prep, and they're linked in bio, and you get a really juicy discount with the code GLAM. So the 3 HF radios, hello me myself, this is the ICOM 705. This is the ICOM 7300, and this is the ICOM 7610. And they all have their own pluses and minuses of them. So I just thought, since I hadn't had this one out for a while, I would get it out. What I'm going to do is turn the other radios off, because I don't want to transmit into the other radios underneath. And another little trick with any of these radios, when you have a scope, the stronger that line is, either the person is running a lot more power or they're very close by. So if I roll along, just got to wait till they're talking to tune in.
Roger, T64WJ.
So let's see if he's like calling CQ or anything. If not, I'll just go and call CQ. So he sounds... My plan was to call CQ, so what I'm going to do is check. There's a few complicated things, but you still, you get used to it. So don't be intimidated by anything complicated looking. If I can do it, you can do it. So you do not, John Hess, you do not have to know Morse code anymore as a ham radio operator. Having said that, it's really a useful thing to know, and it's actually not that hard. They have some really good apps. There's an app called Morse Mania, and you literally can learn Morse code by texting in the app. So let's see, US, we are allowed to use up to 1500 watts, and in the UK, I think it's the other way around there. So that's the other way around. I think in the UK, you're limited to 400 watts, but in the US, we get 1500 watts, and Canada can get 2250 watts. So 7610 would be overkill for a first radio. That's this one. That's a pricey. It's like $3,500, and it has 2 antenna inputs. I would really recommend one of these as a first HF radio. And for people, it's called Morse Mania. And for people thinking, what's HF? In a nutshell, when you get these little radios, you're going to hear the terms UHF, VHF. Those are the bands of frequencies that these little radios operate on, like your Baofungs and all that sort of stuff. So UHF is ultra high frequency. That's its own little group of frequencies. And then very high frequency VHF is a bit lower. So these are a whole other group, but these are the long radio waves that will go around the world and thousands of miles. So to give you an idea on these types of radios, I have spoken 5,500 miles away multiple times. I've spoken to Russia, to Brazil, to Japan, to Cuba. For portability, I believe this is the best. It weighs 2.2 pounds, and it has a little tuner that weighs a pound. You do, of course, then you have to get the antenna. But it all adds up to a pretty good go kit. But this is quite pricey. Ham radio is an investment, but you only kind of ever have to buy it once. So Steve Summersell got his from my link tree, and I remember the bonus is if you use that link, you can actually get free financing. So, oh, you can transmit 1 kilowatt in the UK. Well, that's awesome, Rico. That's really good. So EMP, great question. I have a spare microwave, and I just said today, you know what? I don't use that second microwave, and I have so many radios. I'm going to put a group of radios in the microwave. So I have some really good Elmers. Elmers is a term that you hear for people who've been doing ham radio a long time. Truthfully, it's usually guys. I've become a little bit of an Elmer on TikTok, but there are people who know way more than me because I've only been a ham for 4 years. But there's people who've been hams for like 50 years. And, you know, they'll tell you lots of information. So max power on the 705, great question. Right now, I actually have it hooked to an external battery, so I'm on 10 watts. If I unplug that external battery, I drop to 5 watts, but you can buy amplifiers for them. Now that adds to the expense. My preference 100% is ICOM. That's why I have my ICOM Tower of Power, and I have a Yaesu, and it just wasn't a good experience. It was literally, I got my Yaesu first, and it wasn't a good experience, so then I bought the ICOM, and then that was a good experience. So, g'day, Jess Miller. How's it going out there? That was probably horrible. I apologize. So let's have a look. Dad was a ham for 50 years. That's lovely. That is lovely. Good beginner HF radio. This is probably the #1 model people get. It's called an ICOM 7300. It is strictly HF, which means it's all long distance. You're not going to do your round the city like you do with these little handheld radios. So exactly, Will. 10 watts is enough to work the world. Exactly. You're exactly right. And when I made those, I was listening in Canada when I took this radio, and I took my little HOA buster, which, as I say, it looks like this, and I clipped it to my friend's metal drain pipe, and that was it. So the drain pipe became the antenna, and I was listening to like Italy and all of Europe from the East Coast. So let me see there's this term SWR. Okay, that's perfect. When you don't see anything, that's perfect. So the term SWR, I'll be honest, I was like, I hate these complicated terms because I had no background. I have no background in electronics. So SWR is standing wave ratio, and all it means is when you're transmitting, let's say there's your antenna and here's your radio. So obviously your energy's wobbling along. Well, it'll bounce back off the antenna, and what you don't want is it bouncing back like this, or else that can damage the radio. You want it bouncing back with the same kind of pulse that you put out, and that is what standing wave ratio is. So ultimately you want a 1-to-1. So with EMP, so I would absolutely have a HF radio for SHTF 100%. I would want an HF radio because that's, especially with a scope, in my dream scenario. So you don't need a license to listen, but if you want to transmit risky business, you do need a license. It is not hard to get, so just accept that it's not hard, and it just takes some study. There's a school I recommend in the link tree for the USA. If you saw the best movie I can tell people to watch to give you an understanding of why you might want ham radio is Leave the World Behind is a great movie, and you will see exactly a very plausible, in my opinion, scenario. A very plausible scenario in why you might want radio. So Saucy Mama, will the 10 get us 90 miles? So the thing is, there's no guarantee with radio because it depends on your terrain. If you think of it like, let's get my handy board. So again, here's you, and here's the ground. Let's say your buddy's over here in a nearby town on a little hill. Then let's say it was 60 miles. You're probably not going to have a problem getting them. But if you're in a busy city with loads of buildings or a giant mountain, then that is going to be hard. The only way you will be able to talk to your buddy over here is if there's a repeater, what's called a repeater. And that then takes your your radio communications and repeats it over here. So that's how that works. So there's no guarantee for sure. And 90 is pushing it radio to radio. If I were you, Saucy Mama, I would immediately get the phone app. It's free. A phone app called, what's it called? Repeater Book. I'll just show you what it looks like. And anyone who's interested in like, how is my city set up for radio? How far can I get on these little radios? Yes, if you have a mobile antenna and take your radio in a car and drive up high, that changes everything. So let's have a look. Repeater Book. I just want to show you what this app looks like. That's what the icon looks like for Repeater Book. Now that's a free app, and what it does is you put your zip code in and it will tell you what repeaters are near you. It's going to look a little confusing at first, but don't worry about that. You just want to see how many miles away are repeaters. And when you get into the little menu, you're going to, in fact, I need to do a video on this for sure. Let me open it now and I'll show you exactly what you'll see when you open the radio. I've just got to reinstall it because I haven't used it for a while. But this is going to tell you a lot about how successful you will be in radio if you have like handhelds. And don't forget, for those of you who haven't seen my Hurricane Comms playlist, there's so much education and information in there. Yes, I'm crying a bit at the beginning because I was upset over Hurricane Helene, but the information is really important. And within just a few minutes, if you watch those videos, you will have so much information. You will know what licenses are available, where to get your license. So again, there's the app, Repeater Book. So anyone who's thinking, oh, I might want to get one of these radios and see if it talks on a repeater. So I'm in Hollywood, so like all of my repeaters are in Hollywood. So what you're going to do is click on the little filter button, and this is what's going to come up. Now, if you've never looked at this before, you'll be like, this is confusing. I don't understand anything. Well, what you're going to want to select is if you, let's say, if you have your Baofengs, or if you have the ones I recommend, these H3 and H8, or any of your handheld ham radios, or GMRS radios, you're going to select 2 meters and 70 centimeters. So those are your VHF and your UHF radio. And then you're going to select FM, and that's the only things that you need to show. Now, hang on, having said that, there is, yes, so if you have GMRS, you can select the GMRS here. So let's just see what's near me. Okay, so there's like quite a few repeaters near me. So if I look at this one is only 2.4 miles away. So that's really good. And what that means is there's a big hill or mountain 2.4 miles away from me with a repeater on top. So if I use my little handheld, my signal will go to that, and then it's going to go really far. So here's me. Here's the mountain with the repeater that I just looked up. Whoops. And my signal will go there, and then it's going to go all the way. So you can see, like, wow, suddenly you could easily get 90 miles if you're this side and somebody's this side, and this is 45 and this is 45. So that's how repeaters work. Oh, congratulations on the GMRS call sign. That's awesome. Great, Saucy Mama. That's great. So that's really helpful for you to know. And then when you get your radio, you know that is going to open up a lot of possibilities for you. So the mode of radio, here's another lingo for you, for those people. You don't need your mobile phone at all. So here's the thing, Chef Marie-France, what you do is you never want to wait to learn about radio in an emergency. You want to learn about radio now and make it a little hobby, even if it's as simple as going a walk with some people you know and get them into radio, and you just test in your neighborhood, you go to a park and you practice. You want to know how to use the radio. which means programming the radio. So if something happened, you can assume your mobile phone will not work. Mobile phone communications is one of the very first things in a natural disaster or any disaster that is going to be compromised for many, many reasons, which I won't get into. So forget programming with a mobile phone. So you want to have already programmed your radio and understand what the frequencies are. I recommend radio to everybody, Lord Voldemort, to everybody. Everybody should have radios. And know something about them, as I say. And my Hurricane Comms playlist will really, you'll come out of that Hurricane Comms playlist and you'll be like telling your friends information because you're going to learn so much. Amber got her GMRS. Congratulations. That is wonderful, Amber. Really well done. Really well done. I feel so proud of you, and I'm so pleased that I inspired you somehow. So if you take the ham radio training today, you learn, and then I recommend, depending on how fast you learn, right? So here's 2 ways to think about learning, and this is kind of important. There's tons to learn, and you can forget it all once you get your license. So in the ham radio test, there are 400 questions in the license pool. You will only get 35 of them on your multiple choice test when you do your test. There will literally be 35 multiple choice. Some of them are super easy and obvious, like, can I transmit on a TV station frequency kind of thing, which obviously is no, at no point ever can you do that. So there's very obvious, and some are more tricky. There's probably going to be some with some numbers where you might even have to memorize. Like, you don't have to be an electrician, but it might say, what is the power voltage of blah, blah, blah. And you don't even fully have to understand, because you don't have to get a ham radio license and go build a radio. Some people do that. I did not. I just wanted to get on the radio and know how to sort of use the radio. So whatever intimidates you, just know that that's normal. So back to how long will it be till you get your license? My friend got a ham radio license, and they studied for 1 week and got their license. And with ham radio prep, you can do that. Oh my gosh, thank you, Amber. I appreciate that. Superpower for everyone. That's the ham radio superpower. So if you just knuckle down and focus, you could spend a week studying and then go take the test. And that's fine. I spent longer, and I read books and audiobooks, and I did ham radio prep because I didn't have confidence because I had no background in electronics. That is adorable. Okay. Lordy Voldemort, that was like the cutest one of those I've seen. That was gorgeous. It reminds me of the Queen because she always had corgis. So for example, when you go take your license, you would be issued your ham radio call sign a couple of days later. Same with your GMRS call sign. And again, for people hopping into the live who are like, what's going on? I don't know anything. Just look at my Hurricane Comms playlist. So how long before you get a call sign to practice? So once you get your call sign issued, you are good to go. You are legal to transmit on the frequencies that you are legal to transmit on. You can't just press power up and think I'm good to go, because you could find yourself interrupting a military exercise. What you're going to do is, if you're getting a ham radio license for these guys, that in the United States is a technician license, and you can download a band plan. I recommend the ICOM one because it's beautiful and colorful. It's free. You just search online ICOM ham radio plan or amateur radio plan. So all you're going to be looking at for your handhelds is 2 meters and 70 centimeters. Ignore everything else. So that makes it much more simple straight away. Ignore everything else, because these radios are just going to do those 2 bands. And this, which might look like, what is this at first, will soon be your Bible, because this tells you what frequencies you're allowed to punch in. So the pink ones are simplex, and the name says it all. Simplex is simple. Simplex is radio to radio, nothing in between, no repeaters. Think of your classic walkie-talkie. Yes, ICOM band plan, America. There's one for Europe as well. So simplex communication is radio to radio. Like on a walkie-talkie, you're both on the same frequency. So there's one frequency and you're both on it. So that's where you practice going to a park or hiking on legal frequencies, and you learn kind of how you communicate. You press PTT, push to talk. You wait a beat because it'll take just a second to connect. So you want to just press and wait, and then you'll say your shiny new call sign. And you only have to say that call sign every 10 minutes. So if you're out hiking with a friend, you don't have to, like for me, I wouldn't have to go, November Whiskey 6 Sierra. How's it doing, Ted? How you doing? Like, where are you on this hill, on this hike? November Whiskey 6 Sierra. I wouldn't have to keep saying it. You just have to say it every 10 minutes to identify yourself. So that's simplex communication. So think simplex, simple. Well, on our band plan that we were just talking about, the pink is simplex. So in here is where you find those tasty frequencies that you can practice on. Now, a good rule of thumb is you don't want to transmit over other people. So I'm just going to turn this on. And a good starting frequency is
1, 4, 6, 5, 2, 0.
And all this is in that playlist. So that's the national calling frequency. So if I just turn that off for a second, I'll show you. If I wanted to make a contact, I would literally go November Whiskey 6 Sierra is the frequency in use, So, and if I don't hear anybody back, then that means that I'm good to go. So I just want to look and test something. Okay. These radios do ham and... Lord Voldemort, you subscribed. Thank you so much. And you have the ICOM Steve Summersell. Look what she's used as... There's that radio, which is a very tasty radio. But that's lots of money. It's great if you have loads of money. That's an awesome radio. But you definitely don't need it to start out on. So the etiquette is basically, is the frequency in use. And then if nobody gets back, then you know you're good. So I'm just going to show you something really cool with these. Some of you by now are familiar with... GMRS. So what GMRS is General Mobile Radio Service. And the reason I recommend these radios, that they're just so great, is they're approved for both. Yes, Simplex needs a license. Anything in these frequencies to transmit anywhere in the world with ham radio to transmit needs a license. But GMRS is its own license separate from ham. And here's the great thing. If you're the kind of person who's like, I don't want to get into these big ass radios and spend all that kind of money and talk around the world, I just want to know that I have local communications. You don't even need to get a ham license if that's all you want. You can just get a GMRS license, and you could get that today. You literally go, again, look in my Hurricane Comms playlist. I tell you how to do it. You pay $35. And you will get issued a call sign. So you'll still get a call sign. And the cool thing is with GMRS is your whole family can share your call sign, which is really cool. You can't do that with ham. So that, and you can use this. So I'm going to show you the neat thing. You would boot this up. I think it's 0. And you do this key combination. I show it. And so there you go. I can boot up in GMRS. But if I want to boot up with ham... Let's have a look. I'll do it. I think it's the star symbol. So we're going to boot up. And now I'm going to boot up with ham. I mean, that's an insane feature. Like, amazing. Welcome. So if I now... Whoops. That static is my squelch up. So, whoops. I'm just putting the national... And I'm going to turn the squelch down. And the squelch is what's going to take that hiss. So it's one of the first things you learn. They're in my showcase. All of the recommended little radios are in my showcase on TikTok. If you're in a part of the world where you don't see it, all of the gear I recommend is, it's not illegal in England, Rico, but you have a different thing. So it's not called GMRS in England. It's called, I believe, PMR 446. But amateur radio in England is legal, but you have to get a license in England as well. And if you're interested, I know where you go for that. So one of the first important things is knowing where the squelch is. There's the menu button. It's your answer to everything. So I press menu and there I am. So I am going to press menu to enter the squelch. So the triangle, I'm in there now. And I'm going to turn it up. Confirm. Okay, there we go. So all I did was turn it to number 1, which means it's only ever so slightly got rid of all of that noise, which is the world. That's the noise of all the universe and all the world and the electronics all coming in there. So that's what that loud noise is. And obviously you don't really want to listen to it. So that's why you turn your squelch up. Now, why did I put mine at 1? Because, yes, exactly, PMR 446 for non-license. Yes, exactly. So that's great for you guys. Canada doesn't need a license also, but the US does need a license. So, so let's have a look. So I am on 146520. So let me just try again. Let's turn this off. I don't want to blow it. Okay, November Whiskey 6 Sierra. November Whiskey 6 Sierra is the frequency in use. Okay, so nobody's coming back. So I am going to try just throwing out and seeing if anyone is around. They may not be. November Whiskey 6 Sierra, radio demonstration. If anyone is monitoring, looking to do a radio demonstration, November Whiskey 6 Sierra. So now I'm kind of thinking I should have left my squelch down. Maybe I'll just go and turn it down. So I'm just going to keep it right off. Nah, no, I'm not. Change my mind again. Women's prerogative to change your mind. So we'll just try again. Is anyone monitoring? November Whiskey 6 Sierra. November Whiskey 6 Sierra. Is anybody monitoring? Okay. We'll just leave that there and see if anybody comes back. So if any of you are in the Hollywood, Los Angeles area, yeah, my radio name is November Whiskey 6 Sierra, which is NW6S. So that is my radio call sign. So it's pretty simple. There you go. Thank you, everybody. So yeah, Quansheng, I have that radio too. I recommend the TID radio above all others for a reason, which I won't go into because I've done loads of videos. But if you check out the Hurricane Comms playlist, you will see why. I think I turned my AC off. Hold on, let me tie my hair back. I'm in Los Angeles and I have so much gear in here, it gets boiling hot. So let me just check I have my AC on here. Let's just turn it up a bit more. There we go. So while we just leave that on for now, I want to go back in here and see. I'm kind of curious to see if I can make a contact. So remember this wire. Oh yes, the hand crank radio. I love them. In fact, yes, so you wrote to me, I believe, Saucy Mama. So these both are emergency radios. But these do not transmit. These think of as your information base. You can get NOAA, which is the weather, National Oceanic Atmospheric Association. That's the guy who goes, and the surf will be 12 meters high, that kind of thing. By the way, these radios have that as well. Whoops-a-daisy. So both of these have loads of frequencies you can listen to, including shortwave, which is really cool. It means you could pick up something like really far away. I'm just going to show you why I love this one the best. They both have lights and they both have 5 ways you can charge them, both including a hand crank, which means you will never ever run out as long as you can hand crank. both of them have a way to charge your device. Now imagine in an emergency, if you could charge your device, would be worth its weight in gold. Both of these do that. The light, so this has like a flashlight. You can see that is a sharp flashlight. It has 3 modes. So there's the bigger mode. But what I like about this radio is it has a flashlight here, but it also has an ambient light. So you imagine if you've got no power and you're, oh, take care, Whiskey Sierra Alpha, have a good one. Imagine you got no power, how lovely it would be to just have a light, a normal light. It also will go to red. And so if you needed to set it out to attract attention on the road as a warning or something, just really good. And they both have long telescopic antennas. So the big difference, yeah, you can swizzle it around. The big difference is that this has a bigger battery. It is going to last longer. Both of them are rubberized and sturdy as a rock all over. This has a big carry handle. Both of them have a built-in speaker that you can Bluetooth to. So if you're camping and there's not an emergency, this becomes a really fun, nice, loud speaker for you to beam to. You got all the manual knobs here, whereas this one is digital up and down buttons. So the manual's kind of nice as well. But just very good to have emergency radios. So there you go. A sample. Does it have a sample? I don't know what that means. I feel I'm missing something. Mountain pines. Does it have sample? Prevent false alarms. I'm not sure what you mean there. So those are those radios right there. Those are all in my showcase. But remember, those are for listening. Hello, Canada. Those are for listening, not for transmitting. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to my HF radio we were talking about, and I'm going to throw out my call. And my wire of my antenna is literally a 60-foot wire strung along my fence, and with the HOA buster that is linked in my bio. And as I say, you get 8% off through that link with the code, which is really good. So this band of frequencies they call the 40-meter band. Well, why do they call a frequency that's 7 point something megahertz? Why do they call it 40 meters? Well, the answer is super simple, because, where have I dropped my pen already? Here it is. You all know frequencies wobble along like a sine wave. Well, one of those is 40 meters long. When you're transmitting at a frequency of about 7 megahertz, that little guy is going to be approximately 40 meters long. And it's as simple as that. So when you get into ham radio and people are like, oh, I'm on the 20 meter band, I'm on the 40 meter band, that's where that number comes from. Yes, it's 40 meter long frequency. So CB radio is different than ham radio. CB radio is awesome. Lots of truckers use CB. Here's the basic difference. CB is legally limited to 4 watts in the United States, whereas ham radio you get way more, up to 1500 watts. Also, CB is gated to 40 main channels, although you can do something that's called upper sideband and lower sideband, which then sort of makes more channels. But CB, you turn, rather than tune in a frequency, you just turn a knob to different channels, is how that works. Whereas ham radio is the full beast of radio waves. So again, for people who are not wanting to, hello, by the way, anyone new in the live. So radio that doesn't require a license in the US, you're going to be looking at walkie-talkies. Walkie-talkies are legal to, I've got one around here. Oh my gosh, so many radios. So walkie-talkie is going to be something like this, and it's only legal to 2 watts. You have no option to punch in frequency, and you have no option to change antenna. It's simply up and down arrows. So on 2 watts, you're not going to get that far, really maybe a third of a mile. if you're in a city. You will get further out in the wilderness or on a farm or something, you could get miles. But if you're in the city, you literally can count on a third of a mile with buildings. So what I recommend, rather than walkie-talkies for people for emergencies, is get your GMRS license, because GMRS, the General Mobile Radio Service, that these do as well, these do ham and GMRS, is legal up to 50 watts of power, which is a lot. Like, you could buy a GMRS radio for your car, and you can get much, much further with 50 watts than you can with 2 watts. These are 10, this is a 10 watt radio, and this is a 5 watt. But the good thing with GMRS, so this I think is about like 30 or 40, and this is like 50, 60, I think. They're all in my showcase. So the GMRS license is $35, and it's good for 10 years. And the best thing is your whole family can share the license call sign. And you do not have that with ham radio. So it really is a great way to get in the radio hobby. Yes. Some people use CBs for a hobby, but it is mostly truckers, I would say. And I actually know truckers now who use ham radio. I know a trucker who uses this, and he has modified it, I won't tell, to transmit on CB, which you're not supposed to do. But I mean, I'm certainly not going to police, I don't care at all, because he's only using 5 watts and the legal limit for CB is 4 watts. So nobody is going to know that he's on a CB. So Baofungs have to be unlocked to use GMRS. So they're not legal on GMRS, but they can be unlocked. So let's have a look. So G1K says, I found an HF vertical with loads of wire ground planes under the grass. Oh, that's great. Brilliant. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I have verticals as well. So antennas, that's a good way to just quickly mention about what kind of an antenna might you want. Let me get out the world's cutest, most adorable antenna. So here you go. So Josh, GMRS, why aren't they legal? Great question. Because a Baofeng is not type approved for GMRS frequencies in the United States. The US and the FCC do not like Baofeng. And the reason is they have a very bad reputation for spurious emissions. So if this is your spectrum, just like this, when you transmit, you're going to see this spike. So I'm going to see November Whiskey 6 Sierra bouncing up and down. Well, what the Baofeng does is this. It goes bouncing all over the place. And those are called spurious emissions. Not only could those interfere with people, hobbyists, and maybe people, if you're transmitting outside the band, you could interfere with first responders and military and stuff. It's not good. So that's why Baofengs are not popular. But they're not type approved for the frequencies of GMRS. So there's the answer to that. So I was just going to show antennas. So I got out the world's most adorable antenna. So when you hear somebody talking about vertical antennas, let's see. This is a vertical antenna. But when you get into ham radio, it's like massively bigger than this. So I have verticals right now outside, and they're like maybe about 10 or 11 feet. And that's a vertical. When you hear a dipole, it's 2 of these. You can have a wire, can be an antenna, by the way. It can be really, really cheap. So don't think you have to spend loads of money. Don't think you have to spend loads of money on antennas. You can use a wire. But basically the dipole will be 2 of those. So there's an antenna that I love, really love, that I've probably had the most successful contacts, is called the Hex Tenor. It's also from Alpha Antenna, and it's linked, and it has adjustable, comes with 2 of these, so you can have it as a vertical or a dipole. And I've talked like over 5,000 miles away on that thing. So again, if you use the links, you get a discount in my bio. So there's a bit about antennas. So, which emergency radio has better reception? So it's really all about the antenna, and, for reception is like the quality of radio, and so many things are going to change the reception, things like weather, which, by the way, I might as well mention, you know, I do videos on weather and things like the blob. It's not because I'm a meteorologist, it's because weather affects radio communications. That was my interest in weather. So a couple people are like, why are you talking about the weather? Well, it's simply because it has an impact on radio. That's why I started to learn about it. And for earthquakes, I live in Los Angeles, so that's why I do videos on earthquakes. So great question, Bash. You would have to very complicatedly hook into the car antenna. So what you're better to do is you get what's called a mag mount. And all a mag mount is going to do is a magnet on the top of your car. Do I have one here? I think I have one. Hold on a sec. Let me just look and I'll show you what it looks like. Here we go. The advantages of a ham shack magnet. Look, it's magneting to everything. Okay. This is a mag mount, and these aren't expensive. There's your coax, and here's your mag mount, and you're just going to stick it on the top of your car. And then on the other end, what you do is you feed it. It actually feeds really nicely. You wouldn't think so. But it feeds through, for example, the back door of your car, through the little corner, and it will then go under your passenger seat and hook onto your radio. You get a little adapter, but that would go, for example, right on here. And you put a little the appropriate antenna on the roof, and you can do that with these. So you can take a little baby radio and you can use a mag mount, and then suddenly you have a mobile radio. And if you drive up high, you're going to notice a huge difference, right, of where you can communicate to. Let's see. Oh, I was going to show you, how it goes. So here's your car. Da, da, da. So you literally could just put it there. And here's your doors. Believe it or not, I'm an artist. You wouldn't know. And you're just going to feed that wire in there. And it's going to go under the seat round to your radio. So it's actually super, super simple to do that. Is there one to have at home if you know someone is OOR? What do you mean? Someone is... I don't quite read the end of that. Hello, Mike from Canada. Victor Alpha 3. Hello. Oh, hey, it's Joy got into the hobby. That's awesome. Joy's a licensed ham radio operator. That's brilliant. Kilo Quebec 473 to you, Joy. That is absolutely terrific. So this is a good time for me to actually mention something, because I've got an HF radio set up here, and this radio is for long distance. You should get the second license in the United States for these frequencies. So for ham radio, there's 3 licenses in the United States, and every country is different. So for these little handhelds for ham radio, not for GMRS, for ham radio, you'll get a technician call sign, a technician license. I'm reading the questions at the same time. That will get you on these frequencies. But if you want to get into the long distance, you need the second license, which is called the general. There is a third one, which I have, called an extra. You don't need it unless you're super nerdy like me, who just was like, I'm going to just get every license I can. But you don't need it. If you get a general license, you'll get all the different frequencies, bands that you want to have access. And the difference between general and extra is there's like a few that I get. But I don't even go on them because there's not as many people there. So don't even worry about the extra. And if you're studying right now and you're going to go to ham radio prep, don't forget to use your code GLAM to save 20% off. But if you go to ham radio prep, I recommend that you study both at the same time, technician and general. And the reason is there's an overlap of questions, and that is fantastic. So it's less learning for the both. So you do get a little bit of 10 meters. Yes. Let's have a look at the band plan here. So if you have technician, to give you an idea, technician license, you get that little specky part. So compared to if you're a general and you get to go all over the place, as a technician, you get that teeny little bit there. So there you go. Yeah, radio recommendations QRP, this one, 100%. The ICOM 705, I think, is absolutely fantastic. So can my family share? No, they can't. So your family can share a GMRS license. And I think someone said over the road. So easily radio will communicate. Radio will communicate like around your block and several blocks and then some on the 5 watts. Way further if you are not in the middle of like downtown Los Angeles with the buildings and stuff. No STG. That is the beauty of GMRS, which is why I encourage it. GMRS is because there is no test. And a question that Luda asked, a great question, is there a radio for dummies? You could just go by a walkie-talkie. So that's the super simple, but you're limiting yourself on power. So what I would do is I would get one of these. This has the more power. And I would get the GMRS license. The hardest thing you're ever going to do is literally navigate the FCC's website, which is like the DMV, to give you an idea. It's like, oh my God. But again, I tell you how to do it in my playlist, the Hurricane Comms playlist that I set up for Hurricane Helene. But you're going to get this. And if you want to boot up in GMRS, you're just going to, and I have this, don't worry if you don't remember it because it's in that playlist. GMRS can, you know, it depends where you are, but once you have a license, you can get radios that are 50 watts. This is a 10 watt, but you could get one for your car that's a 50 watt GMRS. So you could get anything from a few miles to like, I mean, I got 60 miles just on like 5 watts. Why is it asking me to do a puzzle? Okay. TikTok just made me pass a test that I'm human. That reminds me, I got a violation last time. Can you believe? I keep getting these violations. I got a violation. TikTok didn't think this was me going live. And I got a strike at the end of my live. And they're like, you pre-recorded your live. And I was like, what? So anyway, back to this. So what you're going to do is there's the PTT button where you're going to do your talking. You're going to turn the radio off. This is always here. So this is, if you get this and use it as GMRS, so you press that, then you're going to hold the 0 and then turn on. Ta-da! And it will boot up. And you only have to do this once. So up arrow is left, is yes.
Welcome.
Done. You never have to touch anything again. All you touch are these up and down arrows. So although that might look complicated, you never really need to look at it or pay attention. And as I press up and down, it's going to go to the different legal frequencies of GMRS. So you would just, you know, if you're out with a friend, you tell them which one you're on. And as long as you're on the same one, you're going to talk to each other. So that is pretty darn simple. So let's have a look. Oh, Saucy Mama got an original. So do they work if we go in a blackout? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. That is why radio is so great for your emergency communication, because they will work. They work with no internet, no cellular, no power. Radio, that is why military uses radio, first responders use radio. So I'm really itching to make a contact, so let me just go.
Very comfortable, so let's just keep this moving before I have to talk, since I send over to KF6, KF6, right? Okay, thank you, Bobby.
I'm just going to see if I hear anybody
what a clever idea.
pulling CQ.
You never want to do all three at the same time. I've done that
Good for
before.
eavesdroppers.
It's like, I'm good at maybe two, but not.
And repeat a book. Yes, thank you, Ronnie. So remember, for GMRS as well, you can get Repeat a Book, the free app. Look up if there's a GMRS repeater near you, and you can get really super far then. So, you know, if there's a big repeater of a GMRS on a mountain, you might get 100 miles. If you're 50 miles one side, and you know, that kind of thing. But it's very variable on where you live and that kind of thing. Yes, this is 40 meters. You can see someone there. So I am going to pick a frequency. Let's go to 230 and let's just see. Is the frequency in use? Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 6 Sierra is the frequency in use and listening. So if it's not, I'm going to try and see if I can make some contacts. I lost a little bit off the end of my pen to wipe this. I have to use my fist. Yes. Alrighty, so nobody's there. So here's your crash course on if you've got your license. And now you're going to try and make a contact. So I'll teach you some lingo. Thank you, Tech Ed teacher. I appreciate it. Oh, they last a long time, mountain pines. A really long time, because remember, you're only really burning it when you're transmitting. So, I mean, I left mine on, and days later, it's still got its battery. But ideally, you remember to turn it off. And it'll last a long time, because you're not going to be transmitting for more than a few minutes at a time. So you're going to hear me say some code now, and I'm going to tell you what these codes mean. In ham radio, we have Q codes. And those are short lingo, kind of how CB has like, what is it they say, the 10-4, that kind of stuff. Well, ham operators don't use that. So we have Q codes. So you could probably, if I can catch someone, you'll hear me say them. The first code you're going to hear me say is called CQ, and it means, is anybody there that's a licensed operator? CQ is the frequency in use. CQ. November Whiskey 6 Sierra calling CQ 40. November Whiskey 6 Sierra and listening. Now the reason I repeated it multiple times is you'll notice, hey Oklahoma, you will notice that like people would have to go and tune their radios. Oh, you can hear a QSO. They're probably far away from me. So I'm on 10 watts right now. So when you're doing the HF radio, you repeat so they have time to tune their radio into you. It's just like CQ, exactly. But it's actually the letters CQ. CQ. November Whiskey 6 Sierra calling CQ 40. November Whiskey 6 Sierra. And why do I say CQ 40 is because I'm on the 40 meter band, and if you have maybe a radio like this down here, you might be monitoring multiple bands. So if I say CQ 40, they know, oh, she's on 40 meters. CQ, calling CQ, November, Whiskey, 6 Sierra, QTH, Los Angeles, calling CQ, and listening. So there you heard another code, you heard QTH, that means location. Cool, Adam's doing his antenna. Now I am on the line going down my fence, which really is set up sort of like it's going to get me north and south really. So it's legal to use ham radio in any hospital in Canada. Oh, that's very interesting. Obviously for licensed operators though. CQ, November Whiskey 6 Sierra calling CQ, November Whiskey 6 Sierra calling CQ and listening. Now, if nobody comes back, I'm going to switch radios. Or actually, maybe I'll go to another band before, because some bands work when the sun's out. So like right now, the sun is out because I'm in Los Angeles. So is there a way to disable transmission on the H8 until licensed? I don't actually think there is. I don't believe that there is. Dan, hello Dan. I haven't actually been, I got my GMRS license a few weeks ago and I haven't even used it yet. I don't believe there's Q codes, but maybe Ronnie or Oklahoma might know. So I'm going to actually swap bands. So I'm just going to announce that I'm clearing the frequency in case anybody's running to tune in, because I don't want to waste their time. November Whiskey 6 Sierra, clearing the frequency. Have a good day. There we go. So now let's go over to a band that tends to work better in the day and we'll see how that is. Whoops. So let's just get the tuner. Okay. And I can already see someone. Let's wait till they're talking. He's in NorCal. So let's just see if he's calling CQ and I could try and talk to him. Take care, Mike. Thanks for dropping in, 7-3. Now there's loads of filters on this. You can like noodle around forever with filters. Let me have a look. Noise blanker. That's better. So again, I'll just go pick a frequency. Let's try 14235. Just going to check my, remember we talked about the SWR. Okay, perfect. And remember, I'm just on a wire on my fence. Oh, I'll just check in on them again. Just in case they're calling CQ. Every time. He sounds far away. Okay, let's get on with this. So I'll go to 14280. Okay. Is the frequency in use? Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 6 Sierra. Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 6 Sierra and listening. So if nobody comes back, and the reason you want to do that is you don't want to go interrupt somebody else's thing. They might be running a ham radio net where they've got like 100 people checking in on a net. CQ, 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 calling CQ, November Whiskey 6 Sierra, calling CQ, CQ, and listening. Now the other thing I might do is if we don't get anyone, because I am using a north-south wire right now along the fence, I might swap and put my hex tenor. Oh yeah, I should call QRP, thanks for that. CQ, 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 QRP, November Whiskey 6 Sierra, QRP, QRP, calling CQ, CQ, and listening. Kind of interested myself because I have a few antennas, so it'd be interesting to try the different ones. CQ, 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 calling CQ, QRP, QRP, November Whiskey 6 Sierra, QRP, calling CQ, CQ, and listening. Oh, QRP is reduced power, so it means I'm not running 100 watts. Oh, I can hear someone. Hold on. They were very faint. Let me see if I can change the filtering. I heard someone coming through very, very faintly there through the noise. Can you come again? This is November Whiskey 6 Sierra. Oh, they're so faint. Let me have a quick look what I can do to change the noise. See what filtering things I can play with. I still wasn't able to copy there, like a 3x3 here. This is November Whiskey 6 Sierra. We can try again. I definitely heard people coming back though. I know what I'm gonna do. God, he's so faint. He's so faint. Let me see. I'm gonna do an experiment. If you can hear me, I'm gonna swap antennas. I'll be back in 30 seconds. This is November Whiskey 6 Sierra. Okay, I'm literally gonna swap antennas. And we're gonna do an experiment. And I'm gonna swap to my hex tenor, which is really a really nice antenna. And let's see how that one does. Hold on. So this is that antenna that I was telling you about. So let's just put my coax onto the tuner. And we'll see how this goes. Alrighty. Okay. This is November Whiskey 6 Sierra. I'm back on my hex tenor, calling CQ, November Whiskey 6 Sierra, and listening. Oh, November 7 X-ray I copied there. November 7 X-ray I'm writing down. Let's see. It's been a while since I've been on this radio for the noise reduction stuff. Let's see if there's anything good. I copied November 7 X-ray. November 7 X-ray QSL. Oh, you're right, Kurt. I should have retuned. Just check. Okay. We're almost there. One more time. Here's what I've got so far. November 7 X-ray. Then I think Alpha Kilowatt. Oh, sounds like I got it right. I would definitely say a 3-3, 3x3 here in Los Angeles. What is your QTH? Back to you. Oh, Arizona. Got him. He's in Arizona. QSL, Arizona. Well, thank you very much for the contact. And as I say, you're a 3x3. So I really appreciate you coming back, though. So November 7 X-ray, Alpha Kilowatt, which I hope I got right. Wishing you a 7-3 from November Whiskey 6 Sierra. Oh, now I hear him better. Now I heard that much better. I guess there's some propagation for you. Awesome. That's awesome. I will be sure to log you in the book. Let me just write down the time, which I never remember to do. So 5:14. Okay, p.m. Great. Thank you. So 7-3 and QRZ, CQ. This is November Whiskey 6 Sierra, QRP. QRP calling CQ and listening. So he's in Arizona, remember, hundreds of miles away from me. Thank you, Saucy Mama. Now, something else we could do, but I kind of want to stay on this radio, but we could compare 100 watts. So if you guys want, we can compare 100 watts. So we'll go to the same frequency, but we'll be on 100 watts, and you guys can sort of see the difference. So we'll go to the big boy radio. Big girl radio. Okay, 14,280. Okay, so we're going to turn this one off. And let me just, okay. I probably have to make sure I've got an antenna on in here. Just a minute. Let's just put the hex tenor on, so we're comparing apples with apples. Just going to put the hex tenor on the big 100 watt radio. Okay. These are all the fun things you're going to do when you get your ham radio license. Okay. Right. So now we're on a 100 watt radio. So we can get rid of that noise. Turn that down. Okay, let's turn that down a bit. So let's just see what we hear right away.
Raise awareness for the delightful soul of the
So that's quite loud, isn't he? So let's butt up to where I was, 280. And let's turn that down. Okay. And I'm just going to tune. And it's polite to tune with your power down. Oops. Now we're going to go and just check. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's see how we do on 100 watts. CQ. This is November Whiskey Sierra on 100 watts now. November Whiskey 6 Sierra and listening. Kilo Juliet 5 Hotel Papa. You are a 5x7 coming into Hollywood next to the Hollywood sign, QSL. Alpha November Echo. Alpha November. Now I think I got his call sign wrong. Let's see. What can I do? Let me try a different filter. Please, can you come back one more time with your call sign? I just want to make sure I have it right. Thank you so much. Back to you. Wow, it's the last one that I'm missing. It's the very last one. I've got Kilo Juliet 5 Hotel Delta, and then I think I'm missing the last one. Apologies. I've got so much gear running in my shack and a ton of lights, so I think I got quite a bit of noise here. So I've got Kilo Juliet 5 Hotel Delta. Back to you. Now he's faded out now. I think it's Alpha. Was that Alpha QSL? Great. 5-7. Oh, cool. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Copy that. Albuquerque, New Mexico, 5-7. You have actually faded out for me, maybe down to a 5-5, and you're coming into Los Angeles next to the Hollywood sign, QSL. Copy that. Well, thank you so much for the contact. I'm going to log the QSO. Just noting the time, 5:20. So thank you so much, and thanks for your patience with the call sign. Kilo Juliet 5 Hotel Delta Alpha. This is November Whiskey 6 Sierra, wishing you a good 7-3. Thank you. Take care. And QRZ, November Whiskey 6 Sierra, calling CQ. CQ from Hollywood. November Whiskey 6 Sierra, calling CQ and listening. A couple people there. X-ray, come back. Come back, X-ray. So he's in Arizona. I just, can you please come back? I heard 5-9 into Arizona. Could you please come back with your call? This is November Whiskey 6 Sierra and listening. No, he's fading out again. That's a shame. I wish I had, let's have just a quick look here. What else I can do on the filters. It doesn't seem to be affecting too much there. Hold on, noise blanker. Okay. Apologies, I think I've lost you a bit in the noise. I really didn't catch too much there. If you want to give it one more try, the call sign with X-ray, we'll give it one more go. Back to you. Oh, I got it. November 7, X-ray, Alpha Kilo, QSL. Great. Oh, we made it. It shows how your propagation is sort of drifting in and out. But that's awesome. I would say you're a 5-7 coming into Los Angeles next to the Hollywood sign. Thank you so much for the patience and the QSO, and I will log this contact at QRZ.com. So thank you so much. I'm wishing you a big 7-3. November 7 X-ray Alpha Kilo. This is November Whiskey 6 Sierra. Take care. Thank you. Back to you. Okay. So QRZ, November Whiskey 6 Sierra, calling CQ from Hollywood. QRZ and listening. Got more people now. Come back. I think, is it Kilo 0 there?
Yeah, Kilo 0, Romeo November Alpha.
Great. Kilo 0 Romeo November Alpha. You're pretty good actually, coming in 5-9 into Hollywood next to the Hollywood sign. Back to you.
Hey man, this is Rich. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. You're coming in 5-9, not too far. And I had a brain surgery almost a year ago. I'm now starting to get back into it.
Wow. Well, you sound fantastic. What's your name? Back to you.
My name is Rich.
Oh, Rich. Right. Sorry, you said that, Rich. Well, it's really good to meet you, Rich, and you're sounding great. Thank you for the signal report. You're 592, so I'm going to wish you a great evening in Arizona. A big 7-3 to you, and I'm going to log the QSO at QRZ.com. So you have yourself a good night, Rich. 7-3 from November Whiskey 6 Sierra.
7-3.
Bye-bye. So there you go. Isn't this fun? QRZ, this is November Whiskey 6 Sierra, calling CQ from Hollywood and listening. November 0, Alpha Delta, you're 5-9 coming into Hollywood next to the Hollywood sign. Back to you.
You're about a 5-5 in the Denver,
Colorado. Wow. Wow. That is pretty awesome that I'm coming into Denver, Colorado right now. I'd say you're about a 5-7 here next to the Hollywood sign, but I'm thrilled to make it out to Denver, Colorado right now on my little stick of wire on my roof. Back to you.
Hey, roger that. Yeah, it's doing well for you. I put a little bit of power, about 1,000 watts.
1,000 watts.
With a guy going at about 40 feet. That sounded good. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Yeah, I'm on 100 watts. So very, very cool. Well, thanks for the QSO. You have yourself a great evening. And 7-3 to you. November 0, Alpha Delta. November Whiskey 6 Sierra, QRZ. 7 Echo Sierra Quebec. November 7 Echo Sierra Quebec, QSL. Ah, Tango. Got it. Sonoma, California. Okay. Copy that. November 7 Tango Sierra Quebec, and I'm 5-9 going into Sonoma, California. I would say you're 5-7 coming into Hollywood next to the Hollywood sign, but I do have my dipole set up east-west. So it's I think it's good that I've even caught you. Back to you. Yes, fading out now. So, thank you so much, and you have a great night too. November 7 Tango Sierra Quebec. This is November Whiskey 6 Sierra and QRZ. We'll take one more and then I'll wrap. Kilo Romeo Charlie. I caught a Kilo Romeo Charlie there, I think. Come again. Oh man. He is falling. He is really drifting there. See, I've got all this noise because I have so many lights. My apologies. I've really got you in the noise here. I think I have a lot of lights and gear that's impacting. So I got Kilo and then I think a Kilo Romeo Charlie at the end. QSL. I think we're getting it. Kilo 7, Kilo Romeo Charlie, QSL. Great, I got it. Okay. You're about a 5-3 coming into Hollywood next to the Hollywood sign. Kilo 7, about a 5-3. Back to you. Okay. So, I think I've lost you there in the noise here, that Hollywood chatter. So I'm going to say 7-3, and thank you so much for the contact. Kilo 7, Kilo Romeo Charlie. This is November Whiskey 6 Sierra, and I think I'm actually going to leave the frequency now. I've been doing a radio demonstration. Thank you to everyone who was... came on there for a QSO, and if you're listening, I hope to catch you next time. This is November Whiskey 6 Sierra Clear. There we go. Okay, turn down there. So there you go. So that's kind of it. Now that was super fuzzy, the last one, because my antenna is not even pointing anywhere near him. So it was amazing. I could hear him. So you get the general idea there. I'm in Los Angeles, and I was connected to Colorado, to New Mexico, to Arizona, to Northern California. So there you go. Anyone wanting radio books, I have the ones I recommend in my link tree, which are Michael Burnett's. So, oh, Adam, that was you. Adam, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, that's great. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. So yeah, I'll be logging that as well. So that's great. Yeah, I need to do a little bit of tuning and tweaking of my antennas. I'll be honest with you, they're on my roof, so it's very hard for me to get to them. You know, so great question, Mountain Pines. That's why you want to know the radio hobby a bit. So there would be designated frequencies for emergency use. So you would start with those in an emergency. And if nobody responds, then you would announce that you're clearing the frequency and you're going to try another one. And, you know, you can do things like there's something called the Wilderness Protocol. The Wilderness Protocol, where you transmit for 5 minutes on the hour. You know, you don't just go solid 5 minutes, but people who are hiking and monitoring, for example, they will listen on their radios and they'll switch them on for the first 5 minutes every hour. And that's called the Wilderness Protocol. So if you're lost hiking or something's happened, you can try that. You can know that on the hour, go on the emergency frequency and try and get some help, because that's when they're listening. Ronnie says that the noise level's lower than his. My noise is horrific, but I'm a little bit rusty because I've been mostly sort of making videos and stuff. A reminder for everyone. Thank you, Josh. Don't put your home address when you apply for your license. So you'll sign up. If you check my Hurricane Comms playlist, you'll sign up initially for an FRN number, your federal registration number. Do that, but don't put your home address. The reason is it will become publicly listed with your call sign and stuff. So you can put a work address, you can kind of put an old address. You didn't hear it from me, but just don't put your home address because it's public. All the FCC cares about is an email address, a valid email address. So there you go. So there you go. Well, I'm actually going to wrap up. I generally go live for like 90 minutes and try and answer everybody's questions. I do have issues with LED lighting, Jamie Hall. And in fact, or Jamie Hale, I have a neighbor down the street, and if I go to 40 meters, when they put their lights on, it's going to almost wipe out that band, which is really annoying, because they have faulty lighting. I'm just out of interest. I'm just curious because this is my hex tenor, so I'm just curious how it is with the SWR. Yeah, so it only works for 20 meters right now. That one. You can adjust it for all the other bands though. So hopefully, you know, you kind of got a little bit of learning. Yeah, the Christmas lights are coming. So Kenwood, I have one Kenwood radio. My Kenwood radio is a dual band, more of a local one. So Cadders, it's my hobby. So, and it is definitely not a waste of money, Cadders. But no, you don't need all that gear. But some people like to drive nice cars. I like to get nice radios. So you can be polite about it. So Oklahoma wants the Kenwood. Kenwood's good, but I have not used a Kenwood HF radio. So exactly, Jamie Hale, exactly. So thank you for everyone for coming in and hanging out. This was really fun. And, you know, I try and answer all my comments and messages and stuff. So I'll be back, God willing. I'm here most Sundays at 4 p.m. Pacific. And I want to give a real shout out to the people that answer the questions in the live, to Ronnie, to Texas Dream, to Oklahoma Weather, that's Oklahoma WX, and to Steve Summersell. Thanks to the people who subscribe and have the tasty badge. I really appreciate it. It's very motivating. And we will catch you again soon. So you probably figured out that when ham radio operators say goodbye, they say 7-3. So I will say take care and 7-3.